Alright, so today I just wanted to talk about how I, as an INFJ, feel about other INs. So other introverted intuits, like ourselves. Uh, yeah, so these are some other types that we kind of, I don't know, we kind of understand in our own little IN way. Um, yeah, so first off, INFPs. So I have a whole other little video about how I feel about INFPs. Some interesting things can happen with the INFJ coming into contact to an INFP. Yeah, it's like they understand the INF stuff that not many people understand, and so it's kind of cool when you meet one. It's kind of a lot of like metaphorical speaking and sort of body language. You don't really need to explain. Your NF kind of gets each other. Yeah, but you also have that I, so you're kind of understanding of the need to introvert and maybe the shyness or the vulnerability with sensitivity that sometimes, we're not, us in the INFPs, we're not always allowed to be as sensitive as we are. And I think sometimes it's hard for the INFJ to really understand the INFP and vice versa, because we have all of our shadow functions, or all of the INFP's dominant functions. So, although at first we connect on a lot of things, we have to remember that just because we share 3 letters doesn't mean we're that similar. You know, they feel a lot through their FI, which is their dominant functions. We're not that in touch with the FI, so sometimes they might seem sort of uh, hidden behind some sort of mask. And as INFJs, we're really good at seeing all those emotions that are swimming inside them. But we have to remember we can't take it as we have to try not to take it personally when they kind of need to not have that pride out. Yeah. Uh, okay, and then we have the INTJ, and so this is interesting. I kind of joke. I kind of feel like us and the INTJs are the two types that I don't want to say know-it-alls, but we know things and we know we're right about them when we know we're right about them. But we both love to learn, so we're not that close-minded. I just feel like we are the people counterpart to the INTJ facts. Um, yeah, and INTJs, it's kind of like other types really see them as kind of assholes. I mean, they're friends enough, they'll joke about it, but I notice that other types tend to get their feelings hurt more than I do by INTJs. I just thought that was interesting because, we as INFJs are so sensitive that sometimes we can get our feelings hurt like that, and it'll take us a little while to get over. But I noticed the INTJ, they'll make little jabs, little jokes, really big on sarcasm like we are. And I think that's where, when I meet an INTJ, that's where we connect. Where we both have that like sardonic sort of knowing sense of humor, and you can tell there's lots of things inside that we're not letting out, because I feel like it's almost, we can't let certain things out, and that's where we connect. And INTJs and we each have our dominant function as the IN. So it's sort of like INTJs, like they want to hate on you as an INFJ for your F, they want to like, especially if it's like a male INTJ and a female INFJ, especially if you're sort of dating, which I've been in this situation. Yeah, they want to kind of jab at you for your F, your like female irrationality and whatnot, but something holds them back, and that's the NI. Something kind of like they'll kind of like wait a second, or they'll want to hate on you, but they realize that they're equal, and they hate admitting that. They want to feel that they are on this different plane. And in a way, INFJs, we feel that too. We kind of feel like we're kind of on this other level with knowing. And so it's nice to meet another person who has N in their dominant and not an NE in their dominant. So it's cool. Yeah. And I don't know if it's kind of, I don't know if INFJs and INTJs can really date. I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure any two types can be romantically involved and it work out. I just feel like it wouldn't for me. Like it would just, there's not enough F. Like me and an INTJ, we could be really good partners on a problem. We could be really good friends. We could be really good sort of intellectual discussion, but that's not enough. There's not enough F for me there. Okay, next, lastly, we have the INTP. INTP, I feel like I kind of overlooked or didn't really understand at first, but an INTP and I, we really complement each other. And I feel like of all the four IN types, the introverted intuits, the INTP and the INFJ, I think, are the two most apt to use sort of like MBTI or inner looking at things with people introspectively, and we're the most apt to use what we learn to really fully benefit other people, I feel, because even though the INTP is very T, they love people. And I've heard a lot of INTPs say, they're like, oh, I just love people and I know I'm really logical and it's hard for me to like be emotional with people, but I just love them. So, I try to work on it and I try to just explain myself with my words, when sometimes I forget that I need to do that. So it's really cool. And like going back to the INTJ, I've had this conversation before with them, and it's pretty characteristic. Me and me and the INTJ will kind of, let's say we're both saying the same sentence. We have this kind of like, man, people are funny sometimes, aren't they? Sort of in our little sarcastic, knowing way, and then I will go, yeah, but I love people, and the INTJ will be like, yeah, I hate people. The end. That's kind of where it is. So the INTJ, although they're very introspective and really good at thinking about things and discovering, they're not really as apt to like apply them to people to help people. Like it's not like they don't want to help people. It's just not their main goal in life, like the INFJ, like we kind of have. Yeah, and so then the INTP, they're kind of like they'll sit down with you and kind of talk about all these things. Like, we could have a 3 hour conversation and I don't have to say, I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling on and on, or like, I'm sorry, I know I seem like I'm overanalyzing, but it's like, no, because they're dominant as a T, so they're comfortable with overanalyzing. Even though as INFJs we really don't overanalyze, we just know, and it comes off as overanalyzing, and that's where we feel we need to apologize. But INTP gets it. They don't mind. They like it. Yeah, and I think that, well, the INFJ and the INTP have a beneficiary benefactor relationship, so they are a benefactor. And as INFJs, we kind of wish sometimes that we could meet people that would really help us change and look into ourselves and grow. So that's why I love the INTP, because they really help me apply more logic and employ my TI more with problems and people, and it's nice. It's a nice reprieve from all that NF stuff that we kind of can get a little lost and deep in. Okay, and then the INFP, like I was saying, we think as INFJs, we kind of think that we should just automatically get along with them in this really deep way. We do in a way, but I feel like the INFP, because their FI maybe is in their dominant function, although they're very introspective and they love people, like I haven't met some of the INFPs I know, like they love people so much. They're really great. They're beautiful people, but they love helping people, but they help people sort of from a different angle than we as INFJs help people. It's almost like we love seeing people grow and transform and change, and we can look into MBTI or we'll go into counseling and we'll help people, but it's almost, we'll help people to help people just for the sake of them growing. And I feel like INFPs, they want to help people based upon, like, they'll help people almost, okay, well, I want to help this person grow so that everybody can live in my ideal sort of world that I long for humanity to be in. Which is good, but it's more of a personal thing. And maybe that's good because as INFJs we're a little we need to be more selfish sometimes. So it's good, but they're not as quick to help people for the sake of that. I don't really know how to explain, but yeah, that's normal. You probably understand. Yeah, so that's how, I don't know, that's how I feel about the other INs. I'm interested to see what other INFJs feel about them. Yeah, alright, well, that was it.